Hi guys, welcome to the meeting. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be going over the virtual etiquette paper and what we've learned. We're going to talk about things that we disagree and we agree with. And yeah, this is over virtual meetings mostly and virtual interviews, pros and cons of it, and then a little conclusion to wrap it up. So to begin, we're going to go over the introduction. Um, Virtual spaces really became popular in the COVID era. They did have use beforehand. They were created kind of with a FaceTime application developed with the alongside the iPhone 4, and that allowed people to video stream with each other because of the front facing camera. Um, you saw a huge demand for it when COVID happened because people were working from home. They couldn't come into the office. They couldn't be around each other. So these spaces shot up in their use. Um, we learned that post COVID, that a lot of companies still held on to these meetings just because of things we'll talk about later, like efficiency, time saving, boost in productivity, and so on. So now we'll talk about virtual meetings and whoever was responsible for that. It's all you.
Okay, yeah. So virtual meetings come with a lot of pros. They make things much easier for a lot of people. They save time and money. Like with commuting and stuff, instead of having to drive to work, you can just open up your laptop. You don't have to waste your gas. Which helps people's schedules and like flexibility because you don't have to allot such a big time slot for your meeting. You could just allot just the time that you need for the meeting and then go on with your other planned tasks or whatever. It also helps reduce a company's carbon footprint because you don't have 20 employees trying to drive to work or getting on a bus or something to go to the meeting. It's just right there. You just got to open up the laptop. Um, so it really just helps with like accessibility and just making things run much smoother and easier. And you don't have to worry about a lot of other things that you would worry about if you were having to commute to a meeting.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. That's really good. Um, let's see, and then the cons about virtual meetings.
Yeah, so while overall, um, virtual meetings can improve the workflow, there are some issues that kind of come up. Um, for one thing, they don't really allow for personal connection between attendees. When you're just on screens, you're not able to read body languages between people in meetings. You're not able to see the emotions behind what they're saying. Um, because there's a flexibility in meetings, there's more meetings that are actually added. And research has shown that there's been about 10% more meetings added to people's schedules. And because there's so many meetings that are being added, that's actually lowered productivity for people. And this is really ineffective for large groups because if you think about it, when you have a large number of people, that's a lot of ideas, that's a lot of people talking, that's a lot of different people who need to get what they need to be said. Um, so this might work for small groups, but for larger groups, this is not necessarily very effective.
Well,
Yeah,
overall, would we agree though that it's a benefit to have virtual meetings, even considering the cons that Lauren just mentioned?
I would agree that, yeah.
Well, look at us now. We're doing it. Okay. Virtual interviews. Who wants to take that off?
I will. So, interviewing as we know it today started by Thomas Edison in the 20s to get a better idea of any employee's potential. And then they really became popular when COVID hit. 82% of companies shifted to virtual interviews. And then 93% of those 82 companies or 82% of those companies still use virtual interviews. Virtual interviews are more efficient, reducing time spent and saving money. It allows companies to interview more candidates in a single day, and then it makes it easier for the prospective employee logistically, just having to deal with childcare or commuting to the office wherever the meeting is. Um, and then it allows for more flexibility for the employer to conduct interviews when possible. And then it allows them to meet with more people to get the best possible candidate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's really good. I'll go over the cons of virtual interviews. Um, they certainly prevent prospective employees from getting a feel of the company and the culture, and the people working there, just because you don't have that face-to-face interaction. And usually, I mean, it's so much easier to build a relationship in person and to get a grasp of what a company is, who the people are, whether you'll fit in or not, whether you'll like it. So that could kind of be almost like a barrier of entry in some regards, because it does prevent people from seeing certain things and feeling certain ways about the company. It can be problematic for especially people like the elderly. I know I've done a lot of virtual interviews when I was working with LLS, and when they're like when they're 50 years of age and older, their use of technology is abysmal. So it would lengthen the process dramatically by 2, 3, 4 times as long, because I'd have to help them get set up on Microsoft Teams. I'd have to help them download it and follow older people following instructions for technology is stressful, to say the least. Um, and it's just like a little niche thing. I mean, the world is rapidly innovating with high speed internet, and a lot of places do have high access to high speed internet, but geographically, not everyone has stable connections. And if you're trying to hire in third world countries, just because you have like jobs there, but you're stationed in the U.S., that could create another barrier of entry that is not always foreseen. If you go over the conclusion, I think we all agree that virtual spaces for meetings and interviews are more efficient, helps you save money, helps you save time. And it's the flexibility they offer, which I think is their biggest advantage, and why they still have a lot of use today. Because just like we're doing right now, we're all in 4 separate locations, but yet we're all able to meet
Mhm.
relatively easy. Um, and the niche cons of it, like Lauren was saying, big group meetings are at a disadvantage of it, because it's hard to get everyone's opinions on it. You're not there in person. It can become a bit of a cluster. But overall, you know, more advantages than disadvantages, and yeah, we'll continue to be using them for the next 100 years, I imagine, at least. Um, so yeah, anything else y'all would like to add?
I
Beautiful.
don't think so.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for meeting with me.